Hello everybody, Sniping is Fun here, and I welcome all of you back to this next video. I present to all of you here on YouTube my review of Avengers Infinity War. And to commemorate the occasion, to kind of be in the spirit of things when I do this quick little review of my thoughts on the movie, I made sure to wear my Avengers Age of Ultron shirt because, you know, MCU, Marvel, the last Avengers movie, blah blah blah. I just made sure that I wore this one today so I could talk to you guys about my review of this movie. Now, for those of you who've been living under a rock, Marvel's cinematic universe has been going on for 10 some odd years, and this movie, Avengers Infinity War, is the latest entry in the series. 10-year anniversary, big film. They've been building up this movie for quite some time now. So I'm sure if you clicked on this video, you know exactly what Marvel is, or Avengers are, or various Marvel superheroes are, what Infinity War is, or something. I would hope if you click on this video or any video about a review of Infinity War, I'm sure you at least know what that is and you've seen the movie and are a fan. And this review, just like many other reviews online, will have spoilers at the end of it, but I'm not going to spoil it right now. I'm going to start off simple, just giving a quick little overview thoughts, and then I'll go into talking about certain events in the movie and whatnot about the thing. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, I would recommend you strongly see it before you watch my review or any review online, because most people either have a spoiler-filled review, or they separate them, or have certain sections at the end, or something, and so on and so forth. So if you haven't seen Avengers Infinity War yet, I would strongly recommend you go see it, and that's it. So before I get started on the actual review, I went to see this movie this past Friday with my cousin Vito, the Insane Gaming Geek. You've seen him on my channel numerous times. I was not able to go opening night with them. He's seen it before I even went to go see it. When we went to go see it this past Friday, he's already seen it 2 times. So when he went to see it with me, he's seen it 3 times. He likes to go see these movies multiple times. I think that's pretty cool. I can't really do that. But he went to see it opening night, which was not this past Friday, but the Friday before. I wasn't able to do that. I was working. I work at nights. I've mentioned numerous times. I work at nights, so some days, unless we go earlier in the day, I can't really, go out and do all that much stuff like that without, screwing myself up at night because I work overnight stock. So yeah, there's that. But we went to see it. He went to go see it with his brother Patrick, Crazy Patrick Show. You've seen him on my channel numerous times too. Opening night, and then he went to go see it a second time before he went to see it with me. Oh, can you go see it today? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then we went to go see it, and this is my review of seeing Avengers Infinity War. Now, when it comes to this, I was really looking forward to this movie because I consider myself a really big fan of Marvel. I'm a really big fan, I think, of comic books in general, like DC, Marvel, what the heck else. I grew up reading comic books and watching cartoons and movies and stuff of this various DC, Marvel, whatever. But I do think I have grew up more, I think, outside of Batman with DC and the Justice League and all that stuff, I think I always grew up more with the Marvel side of comic books than I think I did with DC, because I grew up with Spider-Man, I grew up with the X-Men, I grew up with a lot, their animated shows and their comic books and their movies and whatnot. So, I think I have a little bit more nostalgia for Marvel than I do DC, but I'm a big fan of DC as well, and the comic book culture and various superheroes and whatnot. But in terms of Marvel, I really do like the universe of Marvel, and I have been watching a lot of the MCU movies since then. I know I kind of complained about a lot of things with the MCU influencing Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite last year, but that's 2 totally different things. One kind of screwing up a game, and one just being its own universe that Marvel and Disney and whatnot have made now. But yeah, I've been looking forward to this for a while now. I've seen numerous movies. I haven't seen every single MCU movie yet, but I have seen a good chunk of them to the point where I can go into this movie and actually understand a good chunk of it as well. So, let's get started I'm about 3 minutes into this video and haven't talked a single thing about my review yet, but my review, Sniping is Fun's review of Avengers Infinity War. I'll start off just basically talking about the movie, and later on I will give some spoilers. So like I said, please, please, please go see the movie before you watch any reviews online, including mine. Please, thank you. But yeah, my overall thoughts, and I'm going to keep this quick and simple. This isn't going to be a full-blown review, full-blown, in-detail, long discussion video. I really did like the movie. I really think they did well to balance out as many of the characters as possible, because this movie had freaking almost everyone in the MCU outside of Hawkeye and Ant-Man and whatnot, and maybe a few other little things here and there. But it did have Iron Man, Captain America, Bucky. It had Black Panther and Doctor Strange and like Spider-Man and War Machine and Falcon and whatnot. I had practically everyone that's been in an MCU movie so far. It was like almost the entire team. So they had to balance out like Guardians of the Galaxy with Black Panther, with Iron Man, with Spider-Man, with Captain America, with all these characters. So I think overall, them having that many main characters in the movie is actually kind of commendable because they actually balanced them out pretty well. I think some characters got a little bit less screen time than others, but I think the ones that got the main focus were like Captain America and Iron Man and whatnot and Thor, like the main original Avengers in the MCU. I think they got the most time rather than someone like Black Panther who didn't come until like about the second half of the movie, and the Guardians of the Galaxy getting split up and whatnot and so on and so forth. So basically, it's like I think it is commendable that they had this many superheroes in one big movie, and they were able to balance it out for the most part to give them all a role. We had a beginning, middle, and end. Thanos was pretty cool. The direction was pretty cool. The different locations they went on in space, because this movie was... A lot of the locations in this movie were in different locations not on Earth, besides obviously certain characters who were centered only on Earth. They did bounce out different locations, and on Earth and in space and the galaxies and whatnot. Cool characters from the children of Thanos and Thanos himself, and seeing some backstory, which isn't really a spoiler anyways, because you got to see Child Gamora in the trailers, so you see some of his backstory in the movie, which isn't really spoiling anything. And it's just like nice artwork, nice like scene, like how they produce the scenes and the fight scenes and whatnot. The movie was one big giant fight scene, pretty much. Like almost every other scene was like some sort of fight scene. And I think they bounced out the scenes that weren't fighting with the scenes that were like story development and whatnot. And I do think art direction wise, scene direction wise, character development and story, I think it was a pretty freaking good movie. Is it perfect? No, but no movie I would say is perfect. There's like hardly any movie out there that's probably perfect. But I do think them building up these last 10 years for all these movies in the MCU's Phase 1 and Phase 2 and now in Phase 3 to build up to where they are now, I think they built up the story enough to the point where they didn't have to have too much story development in here, but they had enough story development in here to go off of what they recently did to basically have all the fight scenes, at least it be mostly a fighting movie and not really take away from the story all that much, because they've been building up the story since like the first Avengers. And they've been doing it like Age of Ultron and the Guardians of the Galaxy and Black Panther and the other two Captain Americas and blah, 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 Civil War, blah, 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 all that stuff. So the story has been built up enough to be to this movie. So if you've been keeping up at least most of the MCU movies, you at least get the story of this. If you've been reading the comics too, because Infinity War is a major storyline in the Marvel comics, you would know pretty much you'd kind of get the gist of what this movie's going to be about anyways as well, even though it's not exactly like the comics. So if you've actually read the comic storyline, they have deviated from that a bit, but they've been deviating from the comics for this entire MCU for the most part. There's little things here and there they've done differently in the movies than they did in the comic books, and different than the cartoons as well too. Like sometimes they take liberties and change things up a little bit, but not enough to the point where it takes away from anything, but to kind of make the movie its own universe, and it's different, so it's not the exact same thing from paper to cinematic screen, TV and whatnot. So there's that. So I'd say, because I can't really go any further without seeing any spoilers, but I think the direction was pretty good. A lot of good visuals and story development through the movie built off the old, the previous movies as well as what they did in here. A lot of good action fight scenes, a lot of good locations, and the fact that they put all these freaking characters in there is commendable, and I actually give them credit for that, and balancing it out for the most part to the point where most characters at least got some time involved. So now we are about 8 minutes in. I will probably put in the comment section exactly when I specifically say spoilers, but right now spoilers are in effect. I think basically, let me just start with the ending. I'm going to have to start with the ending. Numerous characters die in this movie. We've seen the likes of Vision get his Infinity Stone ripped out of his head. We've seen Gamora thrown off a mountain for one of the Infinity Stones. Loki was choked out to death early on in the movie. And then getting on to the end, most of the characters, after Thanos got the entire Infinity Gauntlet, all the the stones and everything, he just flicked his finger and multiple characters just disintegrated into dust. And we've seen the death. I'm going to say this right here. I think and a lot of people have said this too. The characters that died outside of the Infinity Gauntlet part at the end, I think, are practically dead for good, except maybe Gamora, because they're gonna find some way to bring her back because of her importance to the Guardians, I think. I'm not fully sure, but I do think Loki and Vision, all that, are fully dead. Anyone that died outside of being turned to dust is, I think, dead for good at this point. But like the likes of Black Panther and Spider-Man and War Machine and Falcon and Bucky and all that stuff, the Guardians of the Galaxy and whatnot that got turned into dust at the end because of the flick of the finger from Thanos, I think there's going to be some way at least some of them come back. I do think anyone that got disintegrated like that is going to come back in the next movie, and they're going to fight some more, and then some of those characters might be killed off by, actually being killed in battle rather than just disintegrating in the dust. But I think they're not dead from this movie. I think some of them might be killed later on in part 2, but legit. But I don't think they're going to kill off the likes of Black Panther and Spider-Man. Some of these characters have just recently come into the MCU, and they have so many more movies to go through, or villains to go through, or storyline developments to go through. We're not going to see them die just yet. But that does not take away the impact that this ending had. Like, the ending was Thanos winning. Thanos kicked their asses and destroyed them. And he beat up almost everyone throughout the entire movie. And he was a beast in this movie. It was really, most of the people just got destroyed whenever they fought him for the most part. And to see that ending where the heroes all but were destroyed and defeated, and it was just like this, there was a sort of art to it. They're going to come back from it in the future, but we've never seen an MCU movie end where it was a total defeat of the heroes, and they just didn't know what to do with it. They were just recuperating. Iron Man was left alone on the planet, that one planet, I can't remember the name of it now, it's been a couple of days, on Earth. Captain America and whatnot, they were all left alone and stuff like that. It's like everyone just disappeared, like Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, which I do think Spider-Man was like the saddest death in the movie, like the way Peter was just like, begging Iron Man to, he didn't want to die and everything. It did bring a tear to my eye. Like, there are other things in the movie that were kind of sad as well, like, Groot dying again, and stuff like that. Those scenes were sad too, and they had like emotional moments, not just sad ones, but happy moments and whatnot throughout the movie. It was really crazy. But the Peter Parker death, Spider-Man death, really did get to me. It did really really was emotional. And it's like, that they're going to somehow find a way to bring a lot of these characters back. I don't think every single character, but they're going to bring back enough of them to the point where if they bring certain ones back, they might be killed off later on, either in part 2 or in a future MCU movie, or they're going to live to, for a while now. But it was emotional because it's like, you've never seen a movie like that, and they just end the movie just like that. Like, they all just started trying to recuperate. They're like, what the heck happened? And then the credits roll, and it's like, that movie, that was pretty cool, actually interesting to see that. And it was emotional and just impactful, and I think the theater was pretty silent when we went to go see it. Unless people have seen it before, and there was people that were seeing it, like my cousin Vito, multiple times. But anyone that went to see it the first time, I'm sure it was pretty quiet afterwards. And I've seen people online mention the same thing. So it's like, that moment really speaks volumes for the storyline and the story going forward, because you've never seen that. So now we can go forward and say maybe there will be more movies where the heroes lose. And I think they should try to do that, because there are big moments in the Marvel comics where the good guys get their butts kicked. They get defeated. So this Thanos defeat is like the start of something like that, probably starting in the movies, probably too. And we've seen certain characters group off to each other. Thor wanted to get, Stormbreaker, and he was with Groot, and he met the Guardians of the Galaxy, and then Groot and Rocket went with them. The rest of the Guardians went to a certain planet, and they ended up being like Iron Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. Then you had Captain America with like the Avengers that were left with his group at the end of Civil War, and they were doing stuff with like the Hulk and whatnot, and Black Panther, and Bucky. And there's all these fights on different things. Like Bucky gets a new arm and stuff, and they're ready for the children of Thanos and Thanos in general to come and attack Earth. And it was just so many interesting scenes, you've seen like all these characters. It's just like, I can't really go into too much detail on spoiling stuff without, I guess, going into that much. And I don't want to spoil too much even in the review. I really don't. But the main thing I wanted to spoil was talking about the ending and my thoughts on every character practically dying by a flick of a finger kind of thing. But it's like, Yeah, the movie was a roller coaster of emotions, roller coaster of fight scenes, character development, all these characters. It was jumping between scenes left and right sometimes, and sometimes that could get. It was so much to take in that you really do have to technically watch this movie multiple times to really kind of get what's going on for some things. Because you're talking about these characters, and then it goes over to these characters, and then it goes over to these characters, and this movie just jumps all over the place. And Doctor Strange was freaking awesome going in there, and the Wizard, and the fight on the streets on Earth, and then him meeting up with the Guardians, and like stuff like that. It's like it was just cool seeing all these characters interact with each other, and a lot of the jokes in there too. I mean, MCU is kind of known for taking stuff a little too lighthearted sometimes. But sometimes they know when to get serious, but they sometimes can be lighthearted a little too much. And this movie, I think, was a good balance of that because there was like a lot of good jokes in there, and I like when it's not super serious. I don't want it to be very DCEU, pretty much. I think there should be a nice balance between, comedy and action, seriousness and like lighthearted stuff. And I think they did that decently well here. Besides the fact that this movie was very like almost end of the earth, like destruction from Thanos and whatnot. So I think they had some good jokes in there, and I think, the kick names and take ass thing from Mantis was pretty freaking funny. The Gamora situation, why is Gamora, like from the Guardian scene, and trying to think of another one that really comes off the top of my head. I don't know, it'd have to come to me eventually. But it's like these funny scenes that really were in there. They did do well with the comedy, they did with the action and whatnot. And I know this spoiler section is not really talking about too many spoilers, but I think I gave a pretty good section of spoilers right there. And about now I'm going to turn spoilers off. I'm just going to do this one last thing for the video because I didn't really plan this ahead. So if you're just watching this video and I'm not really talking about one specific thing at a time, I was doing this video off the top of my head. I was just giving myself a couple days just to contemplate in my brain about this movie. It's been like 3 days now. And I just want to give my thoughts on it. I want to give a review on it and give my thoughts, Cypress One's thoughts on Avengers Infinity War. Overall, it was a good movie. I really liked it, and a lot of the characters shown off and a lot of the stuff they revealed in it. It was kind of interesting. There's going to be a part 2, and it's not even a spoiler because even they've come out and said it, that there's going to be a part 2 after like Captain Marvel and the next Ant-Man and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to that. And Vito, if you're listening to this, can we go see it at the same time and not you bring me at the third time to go see it? But yeah, that's my thoughts. I thought it was a good movie. You should go see it if you're a fan of Marvel, the MCU, the Marvel comic books and video games and characters and whatnot. Go see it. It's worthwhile seeing. It's a good action movie, good stories and characters and stuff like that. And I give it a strong recommendation. I think it's one of the better movies they've had in their storyline so far, their MCU. I mean, I still might probably put Civil War maybe a smidge above it, and maybe one or two more maybe as well. But I do think it's probably one of the top ones they've done, because there's so much build up to it. It is a good movie. So there you go with that. And that is Cypress One's review of Avengers Infinity War. And stay tuned for more videos from me. I'm going to be getting into a lot of things really, really shortly, from more Smash 5 speculation stuff. I'm going to be getting my Ruby predictions and speculation stuff soon, because I know I've been saying that for months now, but I'm going to be doing my predictions for Volume 6 for Ruby probably within a week or two, and the speculation stuff coming really soon. I'm going to get into those drawing videos I said I was going to do for a long friggin' time, and numerous other videos for practically everything else. More of the 5 list, return to top 10s, blah, 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 blah. My name is Cypress Fun. Hope you guys like this review. Go see Avengers Infinity War! And see you all in the next video. Excelsior!